Don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter. And I get why sometimes people just don't want to pay attention to it.
Obama repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which then permitted propaganda to be in broadcasting.
You have been subjected to the most massive, harmonized, globally coordinated propaganda campaign in the history of the Western world.
You go to change.org and there's petitions for a Charlie Kirk Act. And it will not only stop government propaganda, but it goes further than that. It starts to punish private media, educators, social platforms for spreading what they call false narratives. So this is our side saying, yeah, well, now we want the power to do what they did.
You know, what I can already see with just the death of one man, how much of a thing, you know, that we've gotten a mess. I mean, so much is changing as a result of this. It's not just only people are talking about the Sabbath. There are some positive things coming out of it. People want to pray. Young people are going to church. There was well over 2,000 young people who went to church last Sunday. And there are a few TikTok videos now of young people just repenting and read their Bible. And I hope that they remain true and honest. You know, that experience I will never discourage any young person from having. But I think there are a lot of things happening, but one thing that I would say that is also concerning is not just the Sunday Sabbath is being promoted instead of the true biblical Sabbath, and we need to get ahead of the curve as much as possible. But is the cancel culture has taken on a new nature now.
Yes.
That to me is like, hey, wait, bro. You know, listen, we talk on this channel. Like when I see cancel culture, Pastor James doesn't get happy because you know, Jimmy Kimmel pulled indefinitely by ABC, right? Next star, he's gone off the air indefinitely. He might come back, we never know. But there were some remarks stated before the facts came out about MAGA and stuff like that he should have not said. But I'm like, okay, Jimmy Kimmel was wrong for this, but how far are you going to go? Marco Rubio is talking about to the Department of Defense, any foreigners from entering this country who celebrate the assassination of Charlie Kirk online. Deputy Secretary of State, what is he calling for? Ban any person who celebrates this. Sure, I get it. We don't want people to celebrate this, right? But to start banning just anybody for celebrating this, we need to appeal to their conscience and appeal to their hearts and appeal to their emotions. Hopefully we can change the wheel. But banning is not always the good solution because sometimes banning goes too far. So as I begin to read into this, another thing that caught my attention as well, and I want to get your thought on this one, is the Smith-Mundt Act that was passed in 1948 and was revoked, I think 2012 or 15. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, 2012 by Barack Obama. Now this act is coming back on, but under the name Charlie Kirk. And I want to quickly play a video and get your perspective on this because the one person who made this to go viral is this girl. So she made the video. Let me get this for you, and then I'm gonna show you. So she made the video. After she done, she tagged Donald Trump in this video. And several people tagged Donald Trump, and it got to his office, and Donald Trump reposted it, and which means he's considering this and make it a thing. But it's how far it goes. It's not so much whether or not we should keep the media networks from lying to the American people and hold them accountable for pushing propaganda. Let's be honest. They pushed a lot of propaganda on us, right? COVID was a lie. You know, war in Iraq, that was a lie. Were they spying on us? NSA? Yes, there was a lie. Edward Snowden turned out to be telling the truth. And all of these things are a bunch of lies. And even the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I feel like wearing my tinfoil hat every now and then because I have some questions about the nature of that. But anyway, we will find out later on. 9/11, let's not even get into that. So, and she's calling, because the media has been pushing some of these things, and she's calling for them to be held accountable. But my fear is how far this is going to go.
Alrighty, this message is for President Trump and his administration. If you stay to watch the video, please tag him down below, share, and repost so we can try to get this to him as quickly as possible and hope that he can do something with this. President Trump, as a supporter who voted for you 3 times, I am hoping and praying that you will revisit what Barack Obama and Joe Biden got rid of back in 2013, which is the Smith-Mundt Act, which held news corporations accountable for lying to the American people and spreading propaganda instead of truth. I think instead of bringing it back as a Smith-Mundt Act, you name it the Charlie Kirk Act, you make it a law, and you make it damn near impossible for these people to continue to lie to the American public, which has brought chaos, hatred, division, and anarchy all across this country. Fines out the ass, which will damn near bankrupt their companies should they lie to the American people ever again. They can have their opinions, that's fine. They need to state that it is their opinion and that it is not a fact. Because of their constant lies, a man lost his life over it. Because of the constant hateful rhetoric of calling him a fascist and a Nazi and a white supremacist and a bigot, the same thing that they called you, this man is dead. I think this would be a great legacy for him to have a law named after him to force journalists to finally start telling the truth and having the integrity that they have lacked for over a decade. I hope that this gets to you. I hope that you think about it and that you pass it into law. Because we are on a dangerous path right now with the constant lies and the propaganda. And that doesn't end just at news journalists. It needs to go to content creators who consistently spread lies and propaganda and half-truths across the internet. This needs to end. And people need to start being held accountable for baseless claims over absolute abysmal things. It needs to end. So please, if you have it in your heart to have the time to do this, get this in front of Congress, get this passed as a law, and start holding these news corporations, be they right, left, or center, accountable for their behavior. Thank you.
Whoa. This got to the ear of the president. He reposted this. And this discussion is hot right now on X. And a lot of people are saying, let's do it. But remember what it says. It's not just the news we are going to censor. With the Smith-Mundt Act, rebranded Charlie Kirk Act, we want to get the content creators as well. When you hear something like that, knowing what we have been called to do, we have been given a trumpet to sound a third angel's message. There is a loud cry message. When you hear something like that, doesn't this feel like behind the scene, even though there's a tragic situation behind the scenes, Satan is going to use this to shut down and hush the voice of God's servants who ought to give the call at the trumpet a certain sound? Doesn't it feel that way?
Absolutely. You know, when she's talking, the only thing I was thinking about was you and me and other Adventists who have either news site, have either a YouTube platform that they present news and commentary. Yeah, absolutely. We're included in that conversation, even though they're not targeting you and me right now, not yet. But obviously, once they set the precedent, you know, and they can do this and shut down voices, sue people out of existence. Then once they have all this power, you think they're just going to say, okay, let's just relinquish this and go back to business as usual? Absolutely not. I promise you, Rome is not going to allow this good crisis to go to waste. And, Daniel 11 talks about the tidings from the east are going to trouble him. And that's the problem. Eventually, let me tell you, they're going to go after what they call hate speech. They're going to characterize that as hate speech. In fact, Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, was talking about they're going to start cracking down on hate speech. She got a lot of pushback because that puts up a lot of alarm bells. Well, who's going to determine what hate speech is? You know, who's going to be the definer of those things? And you can see a lot of problems that are going to happen. And so we're going to become like Europe, where I don't know if you've seen any of the videos over in England and Europe where you have police breaking down doors, arresting people for things that they posted on social media that were deemed hateful and hurtful. Brothers and sisters, you know what? There's nothing more hateful and hurtful to the beast and the image of the beast, Christian nationalists, apostate Protestantism, Roman Catholicism, than the third angel's message. There's nothing more hateful than that. They'll tolerate us if we just keep our Sabbath, and we'll keep our Sabbath, and we'll just leave it at that. They'll tolerate that, but what they won't tolerate is what we see in the third angel's message and the second angel's message. That will be deemed by certain people in society as something that is hateful, something that is offensive. That's the reason, Pastor James, I know this may sound like a shocker for some people, but that's the reason why we have the First Amendment. The First Amendment means that, yes, we have a right to be offended. And that means that if somebody says something that I don't like, well, guess what? That's okay. If I don't like it, guess what? I can create my own website. If I don't like what somebody else is saying, you put out an ad in a newspaper, Dr. O puts out billboards. Well, if people don't like that, you know what they can do? They can go put up their own billboard. That's the freedom we have in this country. What they don't have a right to do is to take those billboards down and say that's hate speech, that's offensive, and we don't like that, and we're not going to tolerate that, and the community has a responsibility to shut that down. There's a problem. That's going to work against the three angels' messages. That's why we believe in religious liberty. That's why we have a religious liberty department. That's why, we try to emphasize freedom so that we can have the right to preach the third angel's message. So yes, there is no question, Pastor James, no question that there's going to be those certain segments in our society that are going to pressure, they're going to accelerate measures and laws and policies to silence dissent. And they're going to link, listen, there's no question that they're going to link what happened to Charlie Kirk as was it a hate crime? If it is, then they're gonna respond not just with prosecuting that individual, but they're also going to start coming up with new, types of digital censorship, penalties for those who go against or who offend. And brothers and sisters, this will bring us back to Revelation chapter 13, verses 15. The reason why he has power to give life to the image of the beast, because the beast is going to speak their speech, and they're going to speak a certain message which goes contrary to the law of God. And it's that there's a battle not just for the keeping the mark, but if you read verses 15 to 17, speech is there. The right to speech, the right to the airwaves, the right to who has a duty and obligation to be heard, and who has a right to be silenced. That's part of the final crisis. It's going to be there, and there's no question that this will be used to silence what you're doing, what I'm doing, what a lot of other faithful Adventists are doing. That's why, brothers and sisters, this is a time to get to work. This is a time to get the third angel's message out. We have a small window. We've been told that we don't have eternity to get this message out. We've been told that soon the avenues and the means are going to close. Jesus says, I must work while it is yet day, for the night cometh when no man can work. We don't have forever to get this message out. I would strongly encourage my Adventist brothers and sisters, get tracts out, get books out, support billboards, support media, support anything to help sow the seeds, because these means, they're not going to last forever.
So good, man. So good. That's why you're here, brother. And again, not to blow your head up, but thank you for that balanced perspective. Listen, and this is Voltaire, and I'm desperate here because I don't even like this guy. But what he said here is true. I disapprove of what you say, but will defend it to the death, your right to say it. In a constitutional republic, this is what we do. We allow the individual to have their views and perspective, and we debate that openly in the hope of changing their hearts and their minds. The best solution to hate speech is more speech. It's not censorship. It's actually truth. The solution to the hate is the love of God.